LK Brereton, and this is The Real Spiel, Shiloh Institute Stand Up. All honor to Dr. David Israel, the Hebrew linguist and scholar, my mentor in the Hebrew language and culture, to FTA Theological Seminary. What's going on here? FTA Theological Seminary, Pastor Thompson, the Emmanuel Church of Jesus Christ Apostolic, to all the Cyclopses that are in the building of the saints. Something extremely disturbing for me was witnessing Donald Trump's conversation with the president of South Africa, Cyril, the Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa. The Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa. President Ramaphosa. Wow. So basically, and I'm sure very many of us are familiar with Trump's little fireside chats that he has with certain world leaders, where he brings them in front of a media scrum to slap on the wrist and embarrass them. I think it was the president of South Africa, a black. My stream is not behaving itself, so we'll see what happens. He was there being basically bodied by Donald over alleged South African farmers being killed, apparently, by blacks, and that the South African government was doing nothing about it. That white South African farmers, he said all the time, the white South African farmers are being killed and nobody's doing anything about it. No one's doing anything about these white South African farmers that are being killed. And, you know, I've got a lot of friends and I've got a lot of people, got a lot of good people, got a lot of good friends from South Africa. They're here, they're appealing to me. And Cyril Ramaphosa is sitting there allowing this idiot, because Donald Trump, when you go look at that video, is a blithering, rambling buffoon with papers in his hands, showing him all, oh, these are all the farmers, these are all the people that are killed. He's handing out all these papers, giving them to Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa is taking these stupid papers out of his hand, when he should have said, listen, give them to your aide. I don't need these papers in my hand. Like, get rid of this. Like, why are you giving me all these papers? I'm familiar with them. I'm okay. I don't require to see them. I'm familiar with the situation going on there. It's my country. I'm familiar with it. You don't need to give me a report. I'm good. Like, the audacity, and Cyril Ramaphosa sitting there and accepting this, like taking this. Where is your dignity? Like, where is the dignity that you have for being a South African? Why didn't you look this man in his face and tell him, where were you when apartheid was happening? Where were you? Where were you when apartheid was happening? How come you didn't call the president of South Africa at that time? How come America didn't sit him down and have a fireside chat and said, what are you doing? Why are you killing all these blacks? Why are you taking away these people's land, their civil rights? Why are you making them, I mean, you're the minority in their country. Like, what's going on? I don't know why Cyril did not sit there and posture like that. Instead, he was like, oh, you know, we need your help, and if you could assist us, and you could help us, and, you know, we need this and we need that. Begging at the feet of Donald Trump. You know, this man's ego is ridiculous. And if countries like, if national leaders like Abraham Traore said, I'm okay, Trump, I don't need to come to you, I don't need to see you. I'm good, I'm running my own country, I don't have time to come see you. If he could say that, how can South Africa sitting there wearing your white man's suit and your white man's tie and speaking with your white man's accent, trying to be appropriate and non-offensive, deferring to your white minister who joined your government, but not being able to stand up on your two black African legs and say, hey, listen, I didn't come here for this. I didn't come here to be raked over the coals by you on your national press. I didn't come here to do that. And if you want to have a conversation about black inequity, let's talk about a place called Oriana in South Africa, an all-white town, an all-white city where no blacks are allowed to live, no blacks are allowed to work. You're not allowed to buy real estate there. They're trying to become their own nation in South Africa. Talk about that place. Talk about how there are the audacity of this so-called Afrikaners, the Dutch white man who calls himself an African, who won't let black people live in the area that he designates as his area. And then you think that when Julius Malema and other minority factions of the South African government that are saying, yeah, we're coming to take all that land back. You don't deserve it. It's not yours. Don't act like it's yours. And don't act like America has not appropriated land and taken land back from indigenous people, taken land back from black communities, bombed successful black civilizations in America itself. Don't act like you haven't done that. It's crazy to me when individuals with blood on their hands come and try to show you the pinprick, the little pinprick on your finger and say, oh, look at that. Most of the farmers, 72% of the farmers in South Africa are white. Okay? Because they've stolen most of the land. How are you gonna be a farmer? How are you gonna be a black farmer in South Africa when your land has been stolen from you? And America has their own problems. America should be focused on their own farmers. When they threatened all those migrant workers, they all disappeared in one day. Every American farmer is going to go bankrupt in the next 18 months because no one's working on those farms because you chased all your so-called illegals out of the country, or they not out of the country, but they've chased them into other forms of work. And those same white farmers in America were voted for Trump and voted for their own poverty. Well done, dummies. Dummies following a dummy. And Cyril Ramaphosa, the most significant First Nation country in Africa, allows himself to come and be Trump's little boy for all to see. You should be ashamed of yourself, brother. You should be ashamed. You're too sophisticated. You're too intelligent. You are too, what's the word? You are too groomed for leadership to let a buffoon embarrass you on national television. You were going to fly back to South Africa in shame. They're going to cuss you out. Malema can't wait. He's laughing. They were laughing at you. Laughing at you. You couldn't even get a word in. You couldn't even get a word in while he kept saying the same thing all the time. It's terrible. It's terrible because killing South African farmers. It's like he was just pressing a button and repeating himself over and over and over again. And you're like, oh yeah, when the cameras are off and we can have a real talk. You dummy. That's what he's not going to have a talk with you. That was the talk. That was the talk. It's over. He doesn't care about actual policy. He's a grandstander. He wanted to get you on television, embarrass you, and then send you back to Africa. You're probably going back to Africa right now. When somebody tried to cut his little coattails and say, hey, why don't we talk about this free plane you got from Qatar? He called the man a dummy. He called the man a buffoon. Fake news. How's it fake news? You got a free plane. You got a free plane. Oh, Air Force One, we're rebuilding it, and we just boarded a plane. Yeah, you board a spy. You let them give you spy technology, so every single thing that you say and do on Air Force One now is going right back to Qatar, right back to all of the enemies that America has. You're a dummy. You're a complete fool, and it's crazy. It's embarrassing. Thank you very much, AB Promotions. Thank you very much for Thank you for the blessing. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to black people all over the world, where you have a dignitary of Africa sitting at the seat of a historic place where a black man is the president of South Africa in my lifetime. Imagine growing up, seeing this apartheid regime, seeing how terrible things were in South Africa for black people as a little boy. And now me growing up as a gray beard, sitting there and watching a man much more sophisticated, much more intelligent, much more educated, much more refined, and been through much more, to sit there and to allow this racist president of a wicked and evil country to wrap his knuckles and to point out so-called crime against white South Africans. Wow. It was incredible for me to watch, but I sat there and watched it. I sat there and watched it because I needed it. I needed to see it. I needed to burn in our brains, and everybody needs to sit there and watch it and shake your head and wag your finger at the audacity of this generation of people who still believe that they have the upper hand and they still sit on the righteous hills of life, and their memories have not, their memories are not short. Their memories have been eviscerated. They have no recollection of the historical path and past of their not, I can't even call them their ancestors, of their grandfathers. Of their grandfathers. Donald Trump's grandfather and his father were in the KKK. People alive today, their grandfathers and grandmothers owned slaves. People alive today. Slavery's only been abolished in America for a couple hundred years. People as old as Donald, their grandparents were living in a slave-driven America. And if not their grandparents' parents, not that far back, were living in that type of America. And now you are sitting here talking about South Africa, of all nations, the bastion and champion of apartheid, of an apartheid regime, of all nations, to say let's go look under the skirt of South Africa. The problem with Ramaphosa is he was instructed by the boss, Rupert, to go and beg His Majesty Trump, and they groomed Ramaphosa for who he is today. Wow. He's and I called Zelensky an international beggar, and he is. He is that. He's an international beggar. But if I call Zelensky a beggar, what would I call the Honorable President Cyril Ramaphosa? What were you doing there, sir? What were you asking for that you cannot have on your own? Right? Let me explain something to you. And this is the incredible oxymoronic thing about the world today. There is only two entities, I should say, in the world that are arms dealers. The two best arm dealers in the world are Russia or America. They got the best weaponry, the best arms. They have the most developed system of pushing out weapons of mass destruction. They're in the advanced technology phases of it, different versions of some things, but absolutely equal in their technological scope. And you either have to shop with Trump or you got to shop with Putin. You got to buy it from one or buy it from the other. And let me tell you something, South Africa. I don't care if you need to have secret deals and midnight conferences. You cannot go to Donald Trump begging for guns, weapons, and anything else. It's the worst thing you could possibly do. Africa doesn't even deal with America for the most part. For the most part, Africa is dealing with China for trade and dealing with Russia for arms. For the most part. South Africa, you have embarrassed yourself, and you have embarrassed all of Africa, and you don't even know that you're being played like fools. Because what should happen? Let me say this before I get to what should have happened. What should happen now? What took place was Trump. Really, his advisors were like, let's get South Africa over here, show them that we're friends, talk to them. They need stuff from us, but let's rake them over the coals a little bit, but let's make sure that we have South Africa in our hand. What took place the other day was, if Cyril Ramaphosa had any form of dignity, any form of self-respect, he would have said, I'm not doing business with this man. I'm going to call Vladimir Putin, and we're going to get our stuff from him, like everybody else in Africa is going to be. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Africa, the entire continent, is going to be an ally to Russia and not an ally to America. And South Africa has to wake up, and if this doesn't wake them up, because this is what should happen, as I was trying to say before, he should leave that meeting and say, why did I do that to myself? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing that. I'm going to go and sit down with Vladimir Putin, and the things that we need, we're going to do. We're going to get. And we don't need anything from Donald Trump. Imagine the prices. Imagine what Donald Trump is going to require and ask for to give South Africa aid. Imagine putting American boots on the ground in South Africa. Imagine the undermining of the South African government by the hands of a CIA-driven Donald Trump, who say, hey, we got to reverse this thing. We got to find some whites in South Africa who are ready to take control of this country. And yeah, when we send our soldiers in there, let's make sure that we can find some people who can overthrow this government and take back control of this thing. This shouldn't be happening. This is what happens when blacks lead. We got to make sure we protect these people and protect white people all over the world. And this is his agenda. And if South Africa allows America to come into South Africa, let me tell you something very, very clearly, rather. Within the next 2 administrations, South Africa is going to be fighting for their independence. Again, they're going to be fighting for a black-controlled nation again, because America is going to attempt to undermine the South African black government system. You're going to see some of these minority leaders dying out real quick and other people taking their place. You're going to see support and aid and conversations happening for places like Orania to become independent states, and for America to recognize them as independent states within South Africa. And then you're going to have hell to pay. Break away from America. Break away from the concept of thinking that America is your ally. If America is going to be a trade ally, let them be a trade ally, but do not depend on them for weaponry. Don't you see what's happening to Israel? Netanyahu can't say nothing to Trump because he needs that stuff. He's never going to get it from Russia. So he needs every piece of armory that he is trying to get. He knows he has to beg at the trough of America, and no matter what president is there, he's got to go and beg for it. And he's trying to keep his dignity. He's trying his best to keep his dignity. And this is why I believe that they are letting certain things happen in Israel, letting missiles land, letting certain places get hit, so that he can say, hey, you see what's happened? So he doesn't have to beg. He can look like he has a real crisis, right? Because he doesn't want to beg. That man is too proud to beg. At least he has some pride that he will not beg while he's committing genocide. He's not going to beg. He's just going to make it look bad. Yeah, we got a couple of bombs landed here in the part of the airport, because he let those in, because he doesn't want to beg. But Africa, going begging to Donald Trump, don't another world leader follow that example of Cyril Ramaphosa. The entire world has seen now how Africa will be treated when you go to meet with that man. If they're going to treat South Africa like that, who are you that they won't treat you like that? Who are you if they're going to take the largest, the most wealthy nation in Africa, if they're going to take that nation and slap them around and treat them like they're little children, what are they going to do to you? The country that has the most black men incarcerated in the world combined has the audacity to talk about crime against whites somewhere else. You have more black men incarcerated than any combination of nations in the world. And you have the audacity to point your finger at South Africa. What a world we're living in. What a world we are living in. And we just take it and sit there and nod our heads and say, it's incredible to me. This is why Putin didn't invite Ramaphosa to Russia for the celebration, but invited the true president of Africa, you should say, Captain Ibrahim Traore. I agree with you 100%. I agree with him 100%. Black men locked up in America, and Trump saying, "Oh, we want to find somebody else to take our prisoners." African nations all over the world, and this is very controversial, all over the world to say, send us every single black man you have locked in prison. Send them to us. Every single black man locked in prison, send them to us. And Traore should try this, right? This is what you're going to do. All those prisoners, every single one of them, right? Your term, whatever term you have, you're serving 10 years, serving 5 years, you're serving life, all right? We're going to cut it in half. And you're going to serve that time in the armies, in the African armies that they will release you to. You will be free men serving in the army. You won't be locked up. You'll be in Africa serving in the army. When you get out of the army, you're going to be promised a house, and you can continue your career as a soldier, or you can figure out what you want to do. Let them all free. Give them all free. I'll tell you right now, I'll take that doggone deal. I would have took that deal. I'm serving life somewhere. I'm taking that deal, baby. I'm taking that deal. I'm gonna pick my country though. I'm gonna pick my country, but open it up, Africa. Say every black man in prison, we'll take them all back, and they're gonna serve in our army for half of their prison term. You're serving 10 years, you'll serve 5 years in the army. You're serving 25 to life, maximum 10 years in the army. Give you all 10 years. You'll be 10 years in the army. You're free though. You're a free man in the army, right? You come here, you don't have any travel document, can't leave the country. You run away and you want to. You can run away in the Sahara if you want to. But you're here, you're gonna get 3 square meals, you can have a wife, you can have children, you can have a place to live, boom, but you're in the army. I'll take that deal in a heartbeat. Wouldn't you take it? I'd take it in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, I'm taking that deal. Now, too many American men believe that America is, it's the utopian society that it's being sold to you. But I'm sure if you've been in prison for long enough, you realize, I don't know if I want to. I think I might take that deal. And of course, you know that once you get kicked out of America, you're not coming back. So what? Is what I would say. So I'm taking that deal in a heartbeat. So we don't have to have this narrative of black people being incarcerated in massive quantities in America. And the deal is not absolute. You have to choose to do that. So it's not like they're going to lock up black people and then deport them to Africa no, the men have to choose it. You've got to choose to give up your citizenship to the US. Some of you might say no. So because anyhow that it just becomes a law, they're going to be slave catchers picking you up and putting you on a plane, sending you off to Nigeria. And those men should be able to pick where they want to go. What country do you wish to serve in? Period. I bet you a lot of them go to Burkina Faso right now. But back to Cyril Ramaphosa. I want to know, and I hope that they do a fact check of it. What did you accomplish in your visit to the White House? What deals have been struck? What contracts have been written down? What hard currency did you walk away with? Because the conversation, when he was allowed to speak, when he was allowed to say a few little words out of his mouth, because he couldn't say much. He had to let the white guy speak for him now. He said no, he needed air support, and I guess they want drone technology. Everybody wants drones now, right? You want drones because they're too lazy to train pilots. So it's drones. It's easier for drones. All these drones, you can make more of them. Just producing drones like crazy. Everybody wants a drone army of planes that can just bomb people without unmanned. Could use little video game scenarios to deal with them. They want drone technology to oversee all of these particular areas and deal with this. And so you got to come to the biggest arms dealer in the world, which is America. And that's all America is. They're arms dealers. They've got nothing else to offer the world. They don't have oil. They don't even have real technology. They just have weapons. Just weapons. All the real AI technology, all that stuff is being made in India and China. So all America has is weapons. And so they want these weapons so that they can say, okay, we have a protected protected airspace. And it's very interesting that he came asking America for that when he could have simply asked Russia. And what Ramaphosa has done to himself, and probably why they need to have a coalition government now, and I don't know if you realize that's what they're having now in South Africa. They've had to go and partner up with whites. Ramaphosa's government has partnered up with a white party to make sure, and the man said it's to make sure that those so-called militant minority factions of the South African government, people who are voted in, that those guys don't take over the government. And let me tell you right now, you've just made it a fact, because when you look at Ramaphosa now, as a black person in South Africa, you can say, he doesn't represent me at all. Doesn't speak for me. Doesn't speak for me. He doesn't speak for me. He could never come back and say he speaks for me. Incredible. He could never come back and position himself as a true leader of a country. Oh my goodness. Didn't speak up for his people at all. Just was railroaded by a non-intellectual buffoon repeating himself over and over and over again. And we need to literally hold these African leaders accountable. The same way that the world woke up and said, listen, don't you even say one thing, do one thing to Ibrahim Traoré. And let me tell you something right now, it's going to happen with Burkina Faso. I had a dream about it, and I thought it was real in my head, and I woke up and I said, okay, this is just revelation. All of these nations have realized that Burkina Faso is such a force to be reckoned with on an international scale, that what they're going to do right now is they're not going to ever even speak a word of sanctions. Not one word of sanctions will be spoken towards that nation. Anybody who's ever said it, breathed it, or even attempted to nudge in the direction of any sanction for that nation is going to unwind that talk. That will be it. That will be an Africa without sanctions. And I hope and pray that the French nations in Africa, that Burkina Faso goes over to the Congo and says, hey, become part of our coalition right now. Right now. Become part of our coalition. Now, I don't know the intricacies of the Democratic Republic of Congo and how they are interrelated with Burkina Faso or other African nations, but we know that it's terrible over there. And we know that it's only going to be Africa. And when I say terrible over there, terrible in respect to how they have pillaged the place, how they have so much so-called terrorism. And let's be clear, terrorism in Africa is effectively the West destabilizing the nation to plunder it. That's what terrorism in Congo has always been. Let's keep the place destabilized so we can get in there, pick up our minerals and leave. Because that's all these so-called terrorists are. They're individuals who've been put there to destabilize the country so that foreign nations can swoop in, take their gold and leave, take their diamonds, take their cobalt, take all of those minerals that they need for cell phones. It starts with a C, I forget it at this time, and get out of there. And those so-called terrorists simply work for colonizing nations. That's all they are. So what needs to happen is they need to go into the other French African nations and say, hey, let's form this coalition, let's continue, because if you're with us, they will not sanction you. Look how long they sanctioned all of any minerals coming out of Congo, that even the Congolese themselves could not dig themselves out of poverty, could not buy themselves out of oppression, because they said, oh, if it comes from Congo, we can't take it. We're not going to take it because we're just going to steal it. So we're not going to let you legitimately have a true conversation, a true discourse about the value of your commodities and try to raise your GDP and try to create a trade relationships with you and try to enrich your country and try to enrich development and try to support the leaders that you put in place. There was a time in Congo, anybody can go to Congo and run for office. There was time in Congo doesn't have a social, I don't even know today if they have something called a social insecurity number. But they don't even know if you're Congolese or not. And it's that unstable that you can just sit there and say, I'm Congolese. You can just declare yourself to be Congolese. Because they need it to be that unstable. And so Congo needs the assistance of other African nations to push out all of these false factions that are helping to stabilize the country. And Congo needs to do what Burkina Faso is doing. Develop their roads, their highways, their bridges, their tunnels, and create a true infrastructure in that nation. Imagine to drive or to reach 40 kilometers in Congo, you need a plane. You need a plane. You got to go 40 kilometers in Congo, you need a plane to get to most parts of that nation because there's no roads. Burkina Faso, from independence, had 3,000 square feet of roads. 3,000 square feet until Traoré started to buy tractors to build the roads, and now he's trying to build 5,000 square feet of roads a year. 3,000 since independence. Imagine, since the 60s. Why is that? Because they want those places to be destabilized. They don't want people to be able to move. They want to fly in, excavate, steal, leave, fly in, excavate, steal, leave. They don't want free mobility in those places. Yeah, Burkina is basically the capital of the continent. I agree 100%. And Traoré is their president. And the things that he's doing every day, it's something different. Every day we're finding out this guy's doing things that are just absolutely ahead of their time. And the great thing is that he has Sankara's manuscript. So he has Sankara's manuscript. So he's implementing it piece by piece, right? Which is fantastic. He has a blueprint for independence. And what he's doing in respect to making sure that he's doing it simultaneously. He's making sure you can feed yourself. He's making sure they can defend themselves, because remember, there was a time that they would not even sell them weapons. They said, we won't sell you anything lethal. So they were financing the terrorists to overthrow them, but the legitimate government of Burkina Faso, they wouldn't sell them anything lethal in certain nations. So they couldn't even buy it. And they're not begging for aid. They're saying, listen, sell us the weapons. And when they sell you the weapons come with a training contract. So they send 200 or 300, 400, 500 men to come over with the weapons, train them how to use them properly for a period of time, and then leave. So they couldn't even pay for it because they don't want them to be stable. He made every African a non-nuclear contract, saying that Africa would not try to develop nuclear weapons. They're so afraid of Africa. Imagine you go up to a man with a stick and say, I need you to sign this contract. Why? Because one day you'll be able to put that stick down and pick up a missile. And when that day comes, I want to be able to show you that you agreed that you would never pick up a missile. I want to keep you with sticks. I want to keep you with sticks and stones in your hands. So when I come here with machine guns and tanks and drones to blow you up, all you will ever have is sticks. And when you wake up and realize, hey, these people have been murdering us for years, you cannot retaliate because you've signed a contract to say that you will stay working only with sticks. Africa. My God. When will we wake up? When will we wake up? We need to wake up, and we need to wake up in ways that are outside of the box. We shouldn't even be calling Africa, Africa. Africa was named after a white Roman man, Africa. We shouldn't be calling it Africa. It should be called what it's supposed to be called. Kush, Put, Mizraim. Call it what it is. That's why so many African nations go and change the name of their country back to what it's supposed to be, or create a new name. Burkina Faso, the land of the upright people. Thank you. Stand up with your back straight. Now, it's time to stand up with their back straight. It's time for Africa's thinking tank to think. And don't just think. And it's not time for Africa to say we're a pacifist nation. We just want peace. No. We want war for anybody who comes in here and wants to take advantage of us. We want war. We will give you hell. But if you give us heaven, we'll give you heaven back. But if you give us hell, we will give you 10 times the hell you give us. That's the Africa I'm looking to see rise up. And thank God for one man who's able to put Africa back on the front page of newspapers, to put Africa back in the center stage, that we realize that Africa is still a force to be reckoned with. And Cyril Ramaphosa, thank you very much for showing us how desperately Africa needs leadership. Thank you very much, because you are an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment to your wife, you're an embarrassment to your children, you're an embarrassment to your ancestors, you're an embarrassment to black people in the diaspora, you're embarrassment to the white South African, you're an embarrassment to the black South African, you're an embarrassment to yourself. That was embarrassing. You should have got up and left. You should have said, are we having a conversation here, or is this a propaganda tour for you? Because I've got things to do. Should have stood up and said, no, I didn't come for this. Should have got up and left. Because I tell you right now, Vladimir is waiting. Vladimir's got a plane ready to pick you up. He's got fighter jets ready to escort you straight to the presidential palace in Moscow. Sit down and drink some Russian vodka. Eat some black caviar, my friend, and get some Russian guns, Russian drones, Russian weaponry, Russian tanks. Let's go, Russia. Viva la Russia. Every French African country should be saying, Viva la Russia. Hey, and South Africa, I don't know what language all you speak, but all you should be saying, long live Russia. Absolutely incredible to have to sit there and to witness that as a grown black man in this generation. I thought we were beyond that. Honestly. Sitting there, coy and nice. Have you not watched, the early 1960s scenarios where people would sit down and have conversations with Muhammad Ali, with Malcolm X, with Huey Newton, and sit down and have these real conversations with Angela Davis. These black people were not allowing people to deal with them the way you were dealt with the other day. Where's your dignity, my friend? Are you looking for a visa for America? Is that what you're looking for? You're looking to work as a farm worker or something? Like, why did you allow yourself to be talked to like that? Trump said, I don't want him to look bad. The G20's coming up, and I don't want him to look bad. How can I look bad? Look at your country. How can we look bad compared to you? Are you kidding me? Sheepers, creepers. Incredible. It's like you got a fat girlfriend, overweight, obese, you're in shape, muscles, beautiful natural hair in your head, you got your own eyes in your eye, you don't got no eyelashes, and she's sitting there criticizing how you look. Fatso, look at yourself. Look at your nation. My goodness, brother. Ramaphosa was weak as hell doing Garvey TV. I hated it. I hated to watch it. I was like, and I understand the level of African manners. He was trying to be a statesman. He was trying to be mannerly, but he was basically a child youth worker dealing with an obnoxious little kid who was just saying anything while he was continually trying to be polite when he should have said, hey, enough. Like, stop now. Honestly, I did not, Mr. Trump, I did not come here for you to speak to me and speak to our nation in this way. I did not come here for your papers. I know what I could come here with a garbage truck of paperwork showing you all the black men incarcerated, all the crimes against black people in this nation. I could have driven them in here with dump trucks. You're giving me a sheet of paper, my friend. I could have given you an army of trucks and dumped this on the lawn of the White House. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Because the imbalance is extreme. The drops of blood in South Africa compared to the oceans of blood in America. Let's not do that. That's what he should have done. What is he afraid of? I don't understand it. When you are a man and you're under manners, you're talking to your father, and your father is wrong. Your father is out of pocket. And you're a man though. You're a grown man. You say, Dad, I don't want to disrespect you, but I don't like the way you're talking to me. When you are a slave and the master can whip you and kill you, you say, yes, boss. Okay, boss. Well, okay, boss. Well, anything you say, boss. Which one was Ramaphosa? Was he a son being scolded by his father? If that was the case, then I would say, okay, he has respect for the president. Or was he a slave being scolded by his master because he was afraid to die? Did he not fly in there on a presidential jet? Huh? Did he not come from a country with an army, a navy, an air force? Does he not speak for millions of people and have the force of those people behind him? What is he afraid of? The whip of Donald? My God, Ramaphosa. I hope this goes around the world, and I hope this lands in your lap. And I want to say this: if you are listening, you are too wise, you are too intelligent, and you are too dignified to have taken that ass whooping by that white man in the White House. And you need to fix your business immediately, or you will not be the president of anything come next election. Because you embarrass black people all over the world. And I will campaign from Canada to make sure that they kick your behind out of wherever the heck you're sitting in that seat. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. Listen to what you say. I was screaming at the top of my lungs to tell that, what was it? And it's an emoji cuss clown, to man up like a true Nubian. Thank you very much. Yeah, slave. He is done. He is done. That was political suicide. Harry Carey, as the Japanese would say. He literally came there to cut his own throat. How do you recover? There's no platform. You can go back and grandstand in South Africa and say, oh, Mr. Trump, he had the audacity, and we do not like how he was speaking to us. You can't say that now because no one's covering it. You had your moment. You had your chance. You had your opportunity. And you cowered. You stuck your tail between your legs, and you sat there in your chair, and he just talked and talked and talked and talked. You should have got up and said, no. I won't be spoken to like this. This is not what I came here for. And go with your delegation. Even that coward Zelensky, when Vladimir Putin did not show up, he got up and said, I'm not meeting with you. I am a president. I'm not meeting with you. Send the president or I'm not meeting with you. At least Zelensky got up and bounced. You just sat there. Because what did you come there for? What? You're not a beggar. And every African nation. And this is what Traore understands too. If you can't manufacture your own weaponry, you're going to be bullied by the bullies in the playground. If you've got to go to the bully to get a weapon, then the bullies are going to give you weapons, first of all, that are not better than their weapons. They're going to give you the leftovers, right? And they're never going to give you anything that can trump what they've got. They're never going to do that. Got to be able to build your own weapons. Africa and China. This is where Africa and China get together. Listen, let's have a trade agreement. Let's have a developmental agreement. We're manufacturing, because China makes weapons. Some of them aren't that good, but we want weapon making manufacturers here, because when Africa starts making weapons, guess what happens? Because they have the manpower like China, right? They have the manpower like China to make weapons, to make them cheap and to make them fast. They have the technology partnership of Russia. When Africa starts making weapons, the world will have a third option, right? Well, we can buy them from Russia, we can buy them from America, or we can maybe buy them from Africa. And Africa needs to rip up, tear up, dismantle that so-called contract that said, hey, we're not going to develop nuclear weapons, and they need to get Iran on the doggone phone. Iran, hey, baby, let's talk. Let's talk. We understand you guys have had nukes since the 80s. You've had nuclear technology since the Shah of Iran. Let's talk. And Africa needs to say, we're going to be forces to be reckoned with. Because this is what's going to happen in Africa. When they say, you know what? Well, these Africans are playing hardball with them. Well, they can play hardball all they want, but at the end of the day, we've got more power than they got. We've got all the weapons. We've got all the technology. If they really want to act up, we can shut that down very quickly. You know that. Absolutely. And then every now and then, when Africa's, finds somebody really key to stand behind, when they see these great African policies coming, and democracy is not a thing anymore, because that's what the West used to use. Oh, they're not having free elections. We need to invade them. It's incredible. The African people are dealing with dictators, and we can't have that. That's why they went and got Gaddafi, right? When Gaddafi was making sure, like Traore, oh, you don't have to pay for university. Oh, when you get married, here's $10,000. You had your first baby, here's $6,000. Oh, you go to university, first degree is on us. You want a house? We're going to give you the down payment for the house. You need a car? We're going to give you the down payment for the car. When you're doing things like that, social programs that are anti-democracy and building people up, building your nations up, they're going to say, ooh, we can't have people thinking like that around the world because we have more money than them and we're not doing that. They're going to do a Gaddafi scenario on you. And if you don't have satellites in the sky, because that's what they want from Elon. Elon ain't trying to put rocket ships on the moon. Elon is trying to make sure that they can rain death down from outer space on your behind. That's what they want to do. They want to rain death down from places where you can't even see it coming. They want to make sure they can listen to you in your bathroom, on your telephone, from constellations abroad, and rain down death anytime they seem to want to, because the weapons of mass destruction are not nuclear weapons anymore, ladies and gentlemen. That's old technology. Nuclear weaponry is old technology, right? They've got stuff to cause the weather to come and typhoons to hit your country. They've got stuff that causes you to just get sick. They've got all kinds of stuff for you now. So if Africa doesn't catch up, they're going to say, don't worry. We're going to send some bad weather to make all of that land useless, and they won't know what hit them. Can't play with these people, man. Can't play with these people. Donald Trump is a minstrel playing in your face, right? When behind the scenes, they're setting up your demise. So I want to know what was really happening. And like I said, what is he walking away from that meeting with? And what was really happening? What's really happening in South Africa that he even felt he had to come there and beg to that man? What's going on? Because there must be some undermining regime. And let me tell you something. Russia be playing both sides. They must know that if Trump is talking like this, there's something happening in America. Elon's influence, which he mentioned. Oh, you know, I didn't want to bring Elon into this. He's got enough problems. I don't want to create more problems from Elon. No, this is Elon's agenda. Elon and Trump must have some mentality to overthrow South Africa in some type of way that South Africa had to say, whoa. Before we expose the plot that we know of, that Russia probably fed them, let's go have a talk with him. Let me tell you something. You think my brain works weird. There's no reason for this man to go meet with Donald. America is always trying to undermine Africa. Donald Trump is a personal agenda president. He's a personal agenda president. He is not a macro thinker. He's a micro thinker. Donald Trump has a South African billionaire feeding him information, feeding him technology, feeding him agendas. Something's going on that forced that meeting. Something's going on that allowed that man to sit there and to take that much. Because like I said, nothing happens in the world and Russia doesn't know. Nothing. And right now, if Ramaphosa is smart, goes and picks up the phone and says, Vladimir, let's have a talk. Because that right there did not go well for us. Let me see your comments. Let me get out of here. Talk to you. Weather modification, all that stuff. It's all there. What will speaking up to Trump solve for him? Nothing. It creates more problems in the background. Exactly. It's okay to stand up to a bully on the playground, but it's suicide to stand up to a bully with the ability to blow you up. You probably didn't finish that sentence. Yep, he should never have came. Weather modification instructions. Yeah, he probably went there for instructions. What to do, how to undermine the rest of Africa from South Africa. And that's the only African nation still in America's pocket. And every African nation should be very wary of South Africa and South Africa's government and any attempt of friendship. Anytime Cyril Ramaphosa calls your phone, put him on block. Because I don't want that man calling me. If I'm an African leader, I'm like, what is he calling me for? I don't trust it. God bless you. This is Del K. Brereton, and this is The Real Spiel. The business owners in South Africa are related to Musk family. Of course they are. Musk wants South Africa back for himself. Could you imagine if that was Malema at that meeting? Oh, that would have been my greatest wish. Except Malema is getting a little watered down too. When I saw Malema go pro LGBTQ, I was like, what's going on with Malema right now? But yeah, listen, this is not a time for passive voices when you're talking to America. This is a time for radical voices when you're talking to America. Radical voices. Radical voices don't have to scream, they don't have to shout, but they have to talk the truth and have to say exactly what Abraham is saying. We will not kneel any longer. God bless y'all. Take it easy and we'll talk soon. Have a powerful day to you too.